We are live. Good evening and welcome to another AMA Ask Me Anything. I'm Tom Dermody, Mayor of the City of LaPorte on this beautiful April 24th, Friday at 3 o'clock. And today I'm joined by Jen Cochran from LaPorte Community Schools. Jen, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
We thought we'd, kind of turn the page a little bit here with all the parents that are home with their children, e-learning, taking advantage of the opportunity, the kids being home and making sure education is still a priority. And we thought Jen would be somebody fantastic to come on, give some pointers, some tips on e-learning. I'm sure it can be frustrating with some of the parents dealing with your kids 24/7. And Jen, welcome. First, you got to give us a little background. You're originally from LaPorte. Go ahead and.
My name is Jen Cochran. I am a native of LaPorte. I graduated from Purdue University in West Lafayette.
Boiler up.
Boiler up, absolutely. When I returned to LaPorte, I spent about 18 years teaching various K-5 classrooms in LaPorte Community School Corporation. And I've spent the last 4 years as one of the elementary instructional coaches, which just means we help teachers with e-learning and technology implementation, data to drive instruction, so it's a mix of things. I'm also known, though, as mom to a 5th and an 8th grader at the Kessling campus. So when I talk about extending learning and talk about moving into the summer, I'm coming from the point of view of both a parent and an educator.
So you have your own frustrations, and you can appreciate what parents are going through and ways to make this successful. E-learning is very important, and we thought, what better partner than LaPorte Schools? And I would like to also throw out there Slicer Pizza Day again tomorrow, 200 pizzas with Hotspot Cafe being the sponsor, and the meals that LaPorte School System is putting out. I think it's been probably close to 40,000 free meals helping feed the children that need a little support there. So thank you to LaPorte School System. And with that, Jen, why don't you give us some pointers, talk about that. I think you've got some slides that you might want to share.
Absolutely. I'm going to start with a big number fact. From March 16th till August, when school comes back, there are going to be 21 weeks of kids not being in a school building. And although we have been participating in e-learning, it's imperative that they keep learning throughout the summer. I've been asked to share some educational resources that can help families through this new normal in learning. The actual parent guide that I have created has many more examples and resources on it, and it will be posted on this Facebook page, I believe, after today's event. The intention of this parent resource is to provide some guidance and some relief for parents and students that are maneuvering through this extended learning time and then going into the summer. What I'm presenting today is just some highlights of the parent resource. Hopefully there'll be something on there for everybody. One of the main things that you can do as a parent right now is involve yourself in e-learning. And I know there's a lot of great memes out there about homeschooling and parents having to become the teacher, and we want to teach math the way we learned it, not the new way of math. And I know it's meant to be humorous, but I know there's some frustration under that as well. I have that in my own house. So for the last 6 weeks, I have been the working mom at home with 2 students doing e-learning. I know there's many challenges with that, but here's what we need to know about e-learning that's important. E-learning plans are created from curriculum maps and state standards. So the skills in these lessons, e-learning lessons that your kids are doing, these are what students need to be doing to be successful in school. So here's the big takeaway as a parent. If you're involved in your child's e-learning lessons these next few weeks, you're going to be knowing what they can do, skills that they can extend into activities throughout the summer. So the more you work with them and the more you know what they're doing and review with them over the summer, the better prepared they're going to be when they return to school. I know we don't always have time to sit down with our kids and see exactly what they're doing, or we have older students that are more independent doing their work. So if you don't have that time to sit down and see it, make sure you take the time to ask them about it. So for example, what have you been doing in math this week? How's that going? What did you do in social studies today? What was the topics you covered? Did you have to do an extended response to your teacher? Just be aware of what they're doing. On the slide are some examples of, if you are aware, this is how you can extend learning over the next few months. So for example, if you have a 2nd grader and they're doing clocks in their e-learning lessons, kids love to chalk draw. So over the next few months, out on the driveway or on the sidewalk, they can practice drawing analog clocks and placing the numbers there, and also giving them some time so they know they can practice putting on the hour and the minute hand. Digital clock, tell them, here's the hours and minutes, where would you put that on a digital clock? Those are just a few examples of how to review and extend learning, and these are available on the parent resource that I've provided. The next topic is very powerful as well. It's really important to involve students in their learning and give them choices. The first bullet is a link to an article on Edutopia. This encourages parents to give children choices during this e-learning time at home. Giving choices to kids really promotes intrinsic motivation for learning and a love of learning. So I highly recommend you check out this article. It's a quick read, it's an easy read, but it's very powerful. Some families are choosing to give their kids daily schedules. So when we talk about choice and ownership in learning, consider creating a daily schedule with your child. You can put in there a balance of some must-dos. We must do e-learning, we must do our chores, but you also can balance that with some choices and some free time. About choices, consider working with kids to make choice boards. There's an example of this on the left side for younger students. In the parent resource, there's also examples for older students. And there's also an entire page that's dedicated to tips for creating choice boards with your kids if you're interested. The next one's my absolute favorite. Encourage them to be creative and be involved in their community. Consider things that they like to do, and there's quite a few ideas on this list, and there's endless ideas on the internet. Towards the bottom is a link to project-based learning, which can be more in-depth and more time and take a little more commitment, but there's also a link to some light and fun art and science projects. Consider sharing the creativity with teachers. Teachers are really missing their students, and they would love to see some creative endeavors from them. I love the Take 5 initiative. It's helping clean up LaPorte. I know you do. It's teaching them citizenship and leadership. Consider throwing some math in there. For younger kids, they can predict how much they think they can pick up and then actually count it as they're picking it up or after. For older students, think about finding the volume of your bag when you're done. So just some ideas there. On the bottom, you want to check out this continuous learning challenges from the IDOE. There's some collaboration and critical thinking and building character ideas on there. They're very easy, and you can throw them right on those choice boards. Keep making them think. So questions. Annoy them with questions, in fact. For little kids, what happened before, what happened after, that's really some great sequencing. What do you predict will happen, and even more importantly, why do you predict that will happen? For older students, there's no lack of current events going on in the world, so ask them, how would you improve the situation that's going on? How would you report this information? What solutions can you think of for the problem? How would you change the decisions that leaders are making? So just some really deep thinking there. You don't have to have them answer this on paper. This can just be, a natural discussion you're having while you're walking through the neighborhood or driving in a car or watching TV. Screen time. It's a hot topic. Too much screen time is definitely a concern for many of our families. Make the most of it with some of these ideas. There's a link to some PBS conversation cards. It gives activities for little kids to think about, what lesson did this character learn in this show? For older students, describing the conflict in the story and how do these characters respond to this conflict. There are a lot of pages on some of these links. I would not recommend printing these all out and just giving them to your kids to do. You just want to pick a few and, again, just maybe have discussion about it. The point of this is to make them think about what they're watching. And this is a fairly new resource from Dr. McCormick. The Indiana Retired Teachers Association has created a new student parent support hotline. And there's some information on the flyers on these slides. And there's a phone number at the bottom to call, and there's no internet required. It's a phone number, so that might be helpful for some families. So also on the parent resource guide, you'll find some e-learning tips and places to go to get help with e-learning, examples of how to work with skills and daily routines. The IDOE has provided some family guides, which are skills with that the kids are going to learn in specific grade levels and how to help them at home with those skills. There's ideas for K-5 students, tips for teens. We know that they can be challenging. There's many online resources on the parent guide for younger and for older students. And there's also a page dedicated to the LaPorte County Public Library if you are not familiar with the resources that they have. So, finally, some tips to consider. Don't get overwhelmed by resources. We like to say in our office, think about quality over quantity. Pick a few things that you think they're really going to be engaged in and like, not to give them too much. Consider balancing resources, online resources with physical and hands-on activities. And a stressful environment is not productive, so every family is different with how much time they can spend on e-learning at home. Some weeks you're going to have more time than others, so do what you can, when you can, as much as you can. Don't feel guilty and be stressed about learning at home. Kids can pick up on this and then they kind of lose the motivation and enjoyment of learning. Teachers are great resources. If you're not really sure what to do with your kids over the summer, throw them an email and say, hey, what's 2 or 3 things in math or 2 or 3 things in reading that you want me to work on with my child over the summer that's really important so they're prepared for when they go back to school. So teachers love to hear from parents with those kinds of questions. Keep them reading, keep them writing, working with math and thinking over the next 15 weeks. And most of all, have fun, because it'll be more meaningful with that. I've kind of flown through this because I know that there are a lot of questions and other things to talk about today. But if you have any questions or issues with the links, I have included my email at the end of the parent resource. So
Go ahead and read that email again.
Oh, for me?
Yeah,
From
for
mine?
yours. So if parents do have questions.
It's J. Cochran, Cochran, at lpcsc.k12.in.us. And if you have technology issues, you probably receive this information from the schools, but it's e-learning at lpcsc.k12.in.us.
And we mentioned if one of the questions, as much as we rely on the internet, especially now, it's not always dependable. What should parents do if their internet goes out and their child can't complete an assignment?
Well, if they have Comcast, I know Comcast is offering some free internet for a while for families. On our LaPorte Community School Corporation website, there is an e-learning tab and there's e-learning FAQ, and towards the end of that FAQ is information from Comcast. And there is a 1-800 number that I found there on the FAQ, 1-855-846-8376. If you're continuing to have problems with your internet, be sure if you can, let the teacher know that that's becoming an issue. So when turning in e-learning assignments, they always do the Monday after e-learning days. So be sure you are in communication with your kids' teachers.
It's amazing the opportunities that are here in front of your children. The key sounds like it's got to be parental interaction. The parents,
Absolutely.
now that people are home more, take the time, don't miss out on the opportunity to work with